What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Kaiza-Sama, and we are back with another Dragon Ball content video. And in today's video, we are going to be discussing the lore of my favorite transformation out of all the Dragon Ball series. That is Super Saiyan 4. Now, with that being said, this is the second lore type topic video that I've uploaded to my channel. The first one was when we went over Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta when he debuted in episode 12 of Dragon Ball Daima. Now, with this new lore in this new canonized version of Super Saiyan 4 being introduced into Dragon Ball Daima from episodes 18 and 19, we now, I feel like is a great time for us now to take a deeper look into the lore of Super Saiyan 4 and what to expect for the future of Dragon Ball. So let's dive right into it. Now, when we take a look at Super Saiyan 4 and where it really comes from, we have to dive back all the way in the beginning, and that is taking a look at the original manga concept designs, the original guide comic book designs of Super Saiyan 4, which actually brings us back to this violet kind of black colored fur Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Now, this version of him we never really saw on screen. I feel like this would have been a amazing version to actually, show us on screen. To really show us that different diversity as far as like Super Saiyan 4 colors, and because that's really been a huge concept as far as the recent years, with all the fan art coming out and all these different ideas with putting different forms and everything on top of Super Saiyan 4. This was actually the original concept design from which, they actually went with the red fur on the Super Saiyan 4 to actually put out for Dragon Ball GT. Now, this is a original stance right here that we've seen from Dragon Ball GT Goku when he actually turns into Super Saiyan 4. We've seen some very similar scenes to where he stands like this. So with that being said, I feel like this was what they were thinking about, really debuting into Dragon Ball GT, but they never did. And they really just settled on the concept of giving him red fur that kind of stood out with the color pamphlets and everything, and the really just the blending of it, and I guess just the finalization of it. They really just wanted to settle on with the red fur, which would kind of, it even brings out a little bit more of like a savagery in the beast, form of Super Saiyan form and what it really takes to contain the giant great ape. But, if you do ask me, I do like the black kind of violet fur on the Super Saiyan 4. This also gives me vibes of, containing the great ape and whatnot, having that darkish color to it. But like I said, with the finalization of Super Saiyan 4 in GT, we did get the red fur. Now, to talk about where this actually goes in GT and how we get Super Saiyan 4 in GT is the Blutz waves, and then we also have to consider the tail and having to look at the moon / going through the transformation of a giant great ape at least once. And with that being said, you have to at least go upon that transformation at least one time, being exposed to Blutz waves, which really we saw more in the case of Vegeta. For Goku, it was more so of the just natural awakening of the mutation within his cells. And that is going to be the two, pathway sources that we discuss in today's video. The, natural awakening and then the forceful awakening of cellular breakdown as far as like, the deeper potential that is locked within a Saiyan. Now, when we talk about GT Goku and how he comes to be turning into Super Saiyan 4, we all know that he basically transforms into the great ape once he's laying down on the ground and he looks up at the moon. This triggers the natural awakening within the mutation. Now, when I say this, basically what I mean is this is more of the sense of people considering it more of a earned transformation. So when people look at Daima, even though we haven't touched on Daima just yet, people say that Super Saiyan 4 and Daima is not really earned in their honest opinion. But for me, I kind of say otherwise. We'll get to it once we finally get to Daima. But just speaking on this now, that's essentially what I meant by natural awakening. He didn't need any type of magic power being, encased into his body or, need the help of any other being. He just literally awakened the giant great ape in a sense of actually containing it and actually controlling it, to the sense of, he got brought back to the consciousness of his actual personality, and he was actually able to actually control it. Now, once you control the giant great ape, you are then retained into Super Saiyan 4, and then you gain all that strength and power of the giant great ape within just the small body of Super Saiyan 4. That is also why GT Goku, the Super Saiyan 3 GT Goku with the tail, when he transforms into Super Saiyan 4 and he goes into that adult body, he has to grow into that adult body to even retain all that power of Super Saiyan 4. So that's why there's a difference as far as growing up into, that adult transformation. Now, we also have to ask one thing with GT. They actually needed, they also needed a tail. That needed to be present to turn into Super Saiyan 4. One thing that we can really consider, though, is that once you actually need the tail to go into Super Saiyan 4, that's, giving us that thought of, oh, it's connecting to the primal side of Super Saiyan 4 and what it really takes to go into it, but it's not just the tail, because we've seen other representations of Super Saiyan 4 being taken on, and there was no tail actually needed in that sense. And when I speak on this, I'm mainly talking about Super Dragon Ball Heroes. Now, we will take a quick look at Xeno Goku in just a few moments here, but when we think about Super Saiyan 4, it is really just GT and how they are really making up their, in particular story plot and how they achieve that form. It's not really something that's going to stick, for the whole future of Dragon Ball, to where, oh, you just automatically need a tail to go into Super Saiyan 4. In that sense, it's true for Dragon Ball GT. And, for that universe, it makes sense, after I should say before, rest in peace, all love to the man, Akira Toriyama. But before he passed away, him and Shueisha actually signed off. They made it official that Dragon Ball GT is in fact canon. So with that being said, it's actually just canon within its own universal timeline, but it is canon. If you search it online, of course you'll see some older documents that say, just people from Reddit and stuff saying it's not canon and blah, 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 blah. But if you actually do some deeper research, you see these different articles, interviews that have been had with Akira, and sit-down talks with Shueisha. They have signed off that GT is actually canon. Now, like I was saying with the GT Goku, he does have his own representation of how he looks in GT. He has the black hair, he has the original look with the gi pants, his shoes and everything. Now, when we talk about Goku in Super Dragon Ball Heroes, there is a different representation of how Goku achieve Super Saiyan 4, like I was just saying, without a tail being used. When we see Super Dragon Ball Heroes, he does not need a tail, like I just said. Now, why does he not need a tail? That is something that I'm very curious and interested in, and something that maybe we can, hopefully get an answer to in the future, but I'm not too sure, being that they stopped the production of Super Dragon Ball Heroes. But if you ever noticed, if you ever just sat down and watched Super Dragon Ball Heroes, I highly suggest you do. It's real entertaining, especially if you haven't seen anything since Dragon Ball Super has ended. If you're not one of those people that's just a huge stickler for just only watching canon stuff, and you're open to just watching all types of just different Dragon Ball content, definitely give Super Dragon Ball Heroes a try. Watch all of those episodes. You'll see a lot of what if stuff, a lot of stuff that we've never seen in the canon's Dragon Ball series. So go ahead and give that a watch. But for my people, that already have seen it, we've already noticed that Super Saiyan 4 Goku is achieved without needing a tail. Why is that? I feel like there's something that happened to Xeno Goku and Xeno Vegeta at some point, something very similar to what Neva did to Goku and Dragon Ball Daima actually happened to them, to where now they no longer need a tail to actually go into Super Saiyan 4. They can just go into it at will, because somehow, some way, they've awakened the mutation within their cells to go into Super Saiyan 4. That's really the only explanation behind Xeno Goku and Xeno Vegeta actually being able to go into Super Saiyan 4. Now, that I feel like is going to tie something in, like I said, with Daima. We don't really know how they got it in Super Dragon Ball Heroes, but as far as Daima, we know that Neva actually infused this magical orb of energy into Goku, and what this orb of energy does is basically trigger the deep mutation within Goku's cells, to where he does not need a tail to go into Super Saiyan 4. He just needs to basically hone in that control to his emotions, to that great ape side within within his spirit, within his soul. And what this does is allow him to achieve this form of Super Saiyan 4. Now, what this basically means is that the deeper cellular, battle that's going on within Goku at this present moment, when this is all going down, is that these cells are being awakened, like the potential that we see, being brought out from Gohan and Krillin once we, saw that from Guru doing that with them. When we saw Guru awakening the potential from them, we saw, sudden instances after that moment where both of those characters had their moment of in the spotlight. Gohan, after that moment, becomes an absolute beast. He, is a beast as a kid. Once he goes into Super Saiyan 2 during the Cell Saga, even before then, within the time chamber, he achieved a Super Saiyan form that Goku had barely achieved, or, he had barely mastered it. And Gohan was actually able to go into that transformation as just a kid. So this is basically the same instance, a very similar instance, in which, instead of having this, form where he has to go through Great Ape and all that, we are getting something very new, very, tasteful, as far as giving our heroes a new pathway and a new advantage to, achieve Super Saiyan 4. Now, with his red hair and with the look and with him still being in his kid body, that is something we do have to kind of go over as well when we get into this Dragon Ball Daima rendition of Super Saiyan 4 Goku. As we saw in episode 18, when he went into Super Saiyan 4, he did not have to go into an adult body. He was able to retain this form and this power within the body of his kid self. Now, what does this actually mean? Was he stronger than the GT Goku when he did this? My honest opinion in this answer is yes. He was a tad bit stronger. Now, we don't have official guides and everything of that sort that are, published, giving out exact answers and everything. That's really just my opinion. You can have your own opinion. You can think whatever you want to think. But for me personally, I think he was somewhat just a tad bit more powerful than the adult Goku from GT. Why do I say that? Because he did not have to transform into an adult in order to retain his power. All he had to do was literally just control it in the same body. Now, the way I see this is in the sense that the adult GT Goku had to retain that power of a giant great ape by actually transforming into a bigger body. If this kid Goku can retain the power without having to transform into a adult body, and he can just retain it as, his kid self, what does that really mean? You know what I mean? To me, that feels like, okay, well, that sounds like he has a lot more potential, being that he can control this form, even being a kid. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I really saw this situation. We do see the different design as far as the forearms being more exposed from the fur, and then also his chest. Excuse me, we see the chest area actually has a little bit more of like the hair pattern that kind of overlaps with the pecs on the chest. And, as far as the Super Saiyan 4 and the orange gi pants, this is the first time that we're actually seeing this. And I actually love the look of it. It's just a remarkable transformation, and the route that they took to, do this transformation in this look, I honestly love it. Now, like I was just saying, as far as kid Super Saiyan 4 Goku, I do think he's a tad bit stronger than the adult Super Saiyan 4 GT Goku. Without really just like sources and everything, it's going to be hard to tell. Time will tell, like I said, once we get more info. Now, as we get into episode 19, we do get the adult Super Saiyan 4 Goku for Dragon Ball Daima. Now, when this actually unveils, this is giving us a different look at what this man is going to really be doing. And, as far as his like physical appearance, you can now see the muscles being bulged out. The initial form that we saw in GT is now being, embodied into a more modern take that we are now seeing in Dragon Ball Daima. Now, with this red hair, I don't think it really ties into anything special. It's really just a new rendition of how Super Saiyan 4 is looking in this particular series. As far as Dragon Ball Daima, I don't think it's going to mean anything as far as Super Saiyan God being infused into this form. I really just think it's just pretty much something real simple as far as making them look different. Now, with that being said, it could possibly have something to do with Goku achieving this form down in the demon realm. This could be referred to as like a Majin form. Once we get deeper into Dragon Ball, this could be something to where once Goku regains his memory of using this form, it could be, retained as far as like a Majin Super Saiyan 4 type transformation. That's possibly what they could call it. Yes, I did just spill a spoiler. Episode 20, they're getting their memories wiped, and we don't really know when they're going to regain that memory. Now, with that being the case, that basically makes sense as to why they no longer have knowledge of going Super Saiyan 4 and Super Saiyan 3 while in this segment of Dragon Ball Daima, because this is canon. Daima is canon. It's happening after the Buu Saga and then before Battle of Gods. So, with that being said, is this going to tie into the future of Dragon Ball Super? I personally think it is. They even stated before Dragon Ball Daima aired that this series is going to have bits and segments and pieces that are going to tie into the future of Dragon Ball Super. So that's why I was really telling people to lock into my episode reviews. Make sure you watch the actual episodes. You're not missing out on stuff, because when they actually air the future of Dragon Ball Super and they're showing all these different characters that none of y'all have a clue of what's going on and who they are, I'm just gonna be laughing, because I'm just gonna sit there and look at you like, all right, well, I told you to watch Dragon Ball Daima 5 years ago, so yeah, probably good time to go back and have a little rewatch. you know what I'm saying? So as far as this transformation though, is it going to be something that we see in the future of Dragon Ball? I honestly think it is. And the reason why I say that is because when we really consider, how we see Black Frieza, stuff that's going to happen within the future of Super. Black Frieza straight one-shotted UI Goku and UE Vegeta with, one punch to the gut and knocked them back down in the base. What do I think is going to happen eventually in Dragon Ball Super? Super Saiyan 4, like I said, they're going to regain that memory. Vegeta might actually, learn how to actually turn into it. Or, he's going to meet up with Neva and Neva's going to awaken that potential for him or something like that. Something of that nature. Or we could just see Vegeta go into Super Saiyan 3, stack Ultra Vegito, or Ultra Ego on top of it, and then we see Ultra Instinct Super Saiyan 4 Goku. That is what I'm really thinking is going to happen, because when we think about Black Frieza and how powerful he's gotten to this point, it really only makes sense because when we talk about Super Saiyan 4 in that same sentence, Super Saiyan 4 is a true embodiment of what a Saiyan should look like, what a Saiyan should be. So, with that being said, you stack on these God techniques that you've been learning, all this different stuff, and you stack it on to the full potential of what a Saiyan should be. That's when we're going to, basically pop in to, these different, situations and these different, what if type scenarios of Super Saiyan 4 possibly coming back for the future of Dragon Ball. Now, would I like to see that? Yes, I would love to see Super Saiyan 4 stacked with Ultra Instinct, bro. That would just be my dream come true. That would be, probably the embodiment of fan service right there. But as for the Super Saiyan 4 and Daima, some of you guys are probably wondering, okay, which one is stronger? I would say Daima is potentially a tad bit stronger, because when we take a look at Omega Shenron and how he, absorbed all the different dragons with the Dragon Balls, he only has a certain amount of access to the power of the Dragon Balls before it kind of like gets really dull and you can eventually surpass it. From what we've been seeing from Goma, it seems as if he's getting a Zenkai boost every time he's on the verge of death. Every time he's on the verge of death, it seems as if Goma, he gets twice as big, or he gets like 1.5 times as big as he was the previous time, and he just gets a lot more durable and a lot more stronger with the evil third eye. So from what I've seen, the evil third eye kind of gives me vibes as if it's kind of like close to like some God of Destruction type power. You know what I'm saying? Like it's really kind of up there with that very high level, dark magical energy that can kind of compare to God of Destruction and angelic energy. So that is one thing that I've kind of noticed with this third eye, and why I think this version of Super Saiyan 4 is a tad bit stronger, because in order to actually even keep up with that, you're going to have to surpass all the forms that you were using previously. And we saw that Goku, even in his kid body, he was giving Goma that work. Don't get me wrong. He was giving Goma that work. He is the absolute reason why why Vegeta had to go Super Saiyan 3 against Goma at the beginning of episode 19. So, as far as who's stronger, I do think Daima is a tad bit stronger. But then in technicality, as far as sources and everything and whatnot that we could end up finding out within the near future, they could very well be on the same power level. You know what I mean? I'm really just going more so based off of the enemies that they faced. We haven't really seen the pure extent or the full extent of Goma yet either, as far as episode 20 being published. So we do kind of have to wait and see what Goma and Super Saiyan 4 Goku do in episode 20. But I really just wanted to make this video in the sense of giving you guys a better idea of where Super Saiyan 4 came from, the different renditions of it, where we're heading in the future with it. I don't think it's just going to be kicked to the side. I feel like it is for a little bit as we get everything, animated and all that, as far as a moral arc and granola arc and all that stuff. So we will just have to give it a little bit more time. But as far as in the future, tense, we could be looking at a possible Super Saiyan 5 type transformation in which this Super Saiyan 4 stacked with Ultra Instinct, Goku could push the transformation to something else, to a higher level, to that actual level to where, you feel him transforming all throughout the universe. You know what I'm saying? That's what Super Saiyan 5 does. It literally causes the shaking of the universe and wherever the transformation is taking place. So is that possibly what we're working up to when we talk about Super Saiyan 4 in the future? I honestly sure hope so. I really honestly sure hope so. So with that being said, I will see you guys in the next Dragon Ball content video. Let me know down in the comments what you guys thought about this video, what you guys think about Super Saiyan 4. If I think of anything else or I come upon, some other information about Super Saiyan 4, we will cover that as well. Like I said, we'll probably make a updated video once we see the power of adult Super Saiyan 4 Goku on Friday in episode 20 of Dragon Ball Daima. So with that being said, I will see you guys in the next one. You guys take care. Peace.